Hello YouTube community. Today we are going to show how to take apart and clean the firing pin of the Browning Buckmark. Lately the Buckmark started having a lot of light primer strikes, which caused the bullet not to go out. It wasn't hitting the primer hard enough to spark the powder and have the bullet fly out. So what happened is, I'm sure this has happened to some of you, it's actually a very common problem amongst the Buckmark community. And so a round would still be in there. When you eject it and you look it out, I don't have an example of it here, but there will be a little rectangular mark on the casing, but it will not have fired. Sometimes if you rechamber it, you will be able to get it to fire again. However, there's no real need to do that if you can just take care of it and clean it right away and get it taken care of. One of the biggest problem why this happens is the Buckmark is known, like it's one of the few modern guns today that you are not allowed to dry fire. So I was used to shooting the like the Ruger 1022s, the Ruger Mark II, Mark III series pistol where you can dry fire them, and admittedly I had dry fired this Buckmark a little bit, which probably isn't helpful. So I was torn, I wasn't sure if I'd need a new spring or a new firing pin. Decided I'd try just cleaning it first, see if that wouldn't help it out, and in fact it did. I've already actually cleaned it and it did fire again today, so I thought I'd post a video on how to disassemble and clean the firing pin. Now when I was doing it, I looked on the internet and I could not find anywhere how to actually disassemble and clean the firing pin. So this, as far as I know, is the only video on YouTube on how to do it, so I'll try to do the best that I can with the current setup that I have. So, first things first, you need to disassemble the Buckmark. To do that, there are two screws, one up here and one in the back. You may have a hex screw, which will require you to use, I can't think of the word right now, an Allen wrench. So mine, I've replaced it with flathead screws just because I think it's easier. You can do it pretty much anywhere. So take out the first screw, and then again the back screw, which is just behind the windage adjustment. And I'm gonna look like a fool here. I just got done cleaning all my guns, and hands are covered in ballast gel, so I can't hold on to the damn screwdriver. So if it gets too bad, which I'm hoping it won't, I'll just fast forward the video. Okay, so once you get the two screws out, set that aside. Set the top aside along with the other screw. Now this part can be difficult at times. I guess the best way I know how to do it, I'll make sure this is in frame here, is to simply, I'll hold it this way, is to simply wiggle up on this back piece, pull it back a little bit, and lift up. Now this little plastic washer in the back gets cut up, and then you lift up and make sure that you're doing this on a safe place so it does fall out cleanly. Here's a little buffer, make sure you don't lose that. Okay, and then for now I'm going to set the gun aside. Now we have the whole mechanism. Now what you're going to want to do is you need to remove this. So the best way that I know how to do it is just simply lift it up. Sorry about that. Again, with the ballast all in my hands, it's going to be slipping everywhere. So again, thank you to Pete out at the Armory channel. He's the one who sent me the ballast all, and it has been working out great. Now next, let me find a little piece of paper. So I'm not more prepared, guys. You're going to want, or I use a piece of paper just because on my desk I do have a clear plastic piece over the wood just to aid in the cleaning aspect of it. It makes it a lot easier to just wipe down, as opposed to if it's wood it would get soaked, and then this way I can just wipe off all the rem oil or nail ballast all. So what you're going to have to do here is, oh son of a, sorry about that, my improv lighting over here fell down. Now, try to get this in focus here. Maybe I can even line it up a little better. No, it's not a whole lot better. Well, that's how we're going to do it. If you pull that back, you should be able to see, if you pull back the spring here, get the focus, there it is, that little C-clamp there on the end of it. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pull back the spring and then carefully pull out that C-clamp. So I'm going to do that down here, not right in front of the camera, sorry guys, but hold it here on that piece of paper. You're going to want needle nose pliers for this, or it'll make it a lot easier for you anyways. Retain the pin, or detain the pin. Be careful with this, guys. You really don't want to lose this little C-clamp. I have done it before. I mean, you can buy them relatively cheap. Okay, so focus, no. Anyways, there's the C-clamp that we pulled off. You don't want to set that aside in a safe place, because I almost lose it. Now what we have here is your spring. You can feel free to slide that off. And then this actually comes out the back end of it. And my phone's about to die. It comes out the back end of it, so set this aside, or set the pin aside rather. Now comes the interesting part. You're going to need something relatively small. I'm just going to use the an Allen wrench that is relatively small. What you're going to have to do here is... Okay, guys, sorry about that. My camera died. Now, we have the housing that holds the firing pin. Now, what we're going to need to do is, I'm not sure you guys can see it, there's a small... Oh, you can't see it. There you go. There's a small little pin here that you're going to need to push through. Now when you do that, you're going to want to hold on to the back end of the firing pin here, because it's on a spring and it will shoot out if you do not hold it in. So I'm going to try to show you that as close as I can up here. Just push down. And as you can see, it comes out here on the other side. Okay, so set that aside. Magnetic needle nose, let go of that. Now, the firing pin is going to come out. Again, it's going to be on a spring. So, set the firing pin housing aside, set the spring aside, and this is what we're going to be looking at. This here is the firing pin. This end here, I've already cleaned it. However, I'll have you know, when I first took it apart, it was covered in gunk and black residue and stuff from the gunpowder going off. Again, if you have dry fired your Buckmark a lot, or not even a lot, if you have dry fired it, it may be necessary to replace this entire pin, because it does strike against the inside bore here, as it is a rim fire, not a center fire, so it will continuously hit the steel when you shoot, or when you dry fire it. So it will cause this pin to become shorter. So like I said, it may be required that you just replace this entire firing pin, or you may need to replace the spring. If it's a really old gun and the spring's been used a lot, it does compress, decompress, and it will wear down the spring. So those are two things to keep in mind. You can get both of them relatively cheap. Go to Midway USA. I think they got them like $2-3. There's other places, but that's the first place that I looked when I thought I may need to be replacing this before I cleaned it. Now, so what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to get a can of your favorite cleaning product, whether it be Ballastel, CLP, or whatever it is. You want to spray this whole thing down, clean it up. You're going to scrape it with a file, with a razor blade, with the end of a flathead screwdriver. Just get rid of all the soot that has built up on here. And then the other thing that you want to do that I found was absolutely disgusting was in the housing here that holds the firing pin. You're going to want to clean that out good too. Now, what I did is I got a Q-tip. You want to take off just a little bit of material, not a whole lot. so that it will fit in here. And then try to show this on camera. Okay, there you go. So now you're going to want to push it in here and just scrub inside this channel. Again, on the top too, where the where this main pin here goes that held the C-clamp on and the spring. You're gonna want to clean up in there too. Just get in there, clean out really good. Mine's clean right now because, like I said, I actually cleaned mine earlier. But it is amazing. I think I went through 3 or so Q-tips, both sides, just cleaning out all the gunk. It was incredibly disgusting. So after you've cleaned this off, you've scraped all the gunk off, you've cleaned off the inside of this, it's time to put it back together again, go back to the range, and hope that the light primer strikes have stopped, and that this will hit it, and make it go down the range every time. So since I've cleaned it, it actually has functioned 100% perfectly, which I'm glad about. It means I don't need to buy a new firing pin. However, if you put it back together and it does not fire, and it's still doing light primer strikes, you may need to go out and buy another firing pin or the spring that holds it in. And like I said, that's relatively cheap, $2-3 bucks. So, excuse me, to put it back on, again, you're just going to want to put the spring back on, put it back in the hole here. As for which way, I don't believe it matters, whether it be the flat side or the rounded side. I don't believe that matters, so I haven't done anything to it. If it does matter, and I'm putting it in a different way this time. Like I said, I didn't find any videos out there at all that were that helped with this specific problem here. So I'm going to be going out and shooting it sometime in the near future. So I put it in the other way. So if it doesn't work that way, I'll be sure to leave a little thing in the hoobly-doo, wherever it is. I'm not really sure how YouTube works quite yet. Here, saying that it doesn't work this way, you need to have it in another way. But as for right now, I'm pretty sure that it's okay. So after you've put this back in, I sort of did it without saying it, I'm sorry. Then you're going to push the pin back through the hole in the firing pin. Self-explanatory, the same as it's just a reverse as when you took it apart. Okay guys, so this is how you put in the spring, the whole C-clamp, and this rod back together. What you're going to want to do is take the nose end of it and put it in the housing facing this way, so that way this flat end of it here gets caught on the housing, can't go anywhere. Okay, now what you want to do is you are going to want to put the spring back on it, and again attach the C-clamp to the end of the rod. Now I'm not even sure if this is called C-clamp, I've just been calling it this whole time. It might not be. If not, well, that's what it's called here. So you want to depress the spring, attach the little horseshoe C-clamp, and it connects. So now we're back to having this all be one solid piece. Now to reassemble the gun, there's tons of way better videos out there than this, I'm sure. But I just wanted to show you how to clean the firing pin in case you're getting a lot of failure to fires. Or light primer strikes rather, which would cause failure to fire. Now what I do is I put on the slide. I then take the buffer here, and you'll see there's a side with a little indent on it. There it is, kind of. Not the flat side. You want the side with the indent, and you want that facing the barrel of the gun. Place that right there, facing forward. And then you are going to take this mechanism that holds your firing pin, and what I do is I stick it in the hole first, and push back. Sorry guys. Push it in the hole, make sure it hits the one in the back of the slide too, and then slide that down. I hope that recorded okay. So now everything is back into working function. Now another thing I should mention, that if you're getting light primer strikes and it's not because of the firing pin, there's a little, God, I wish I had better light. No, it's not gonna help. Okay, there, oh, here you go. There's a little, there's a little screw in here that you gotta use an Allen wrench to tighten. It tightens on the barrel. That is also sometimes the issue, so make sure that this is tight. And then the final thing, if it's not that or the firing pin, is it could be that you don't have these screws on tight enough on the top. So again, the small screw goes in the front. Make sure it's on real tight. And then the the larger screw goes in the back. Sorry guys. Again, the ballast towels cause my hands to be quite slippery. Now, you think I'd have time to go wash my hands with the ballast towel? You know, wash them, get the ballast towel off when the camera died, but I wasn't that smart, so I didn't. Now, this back one I've noticed, you want to have it tight, but not overly tight, because it will cause sometimes the slide to land about like right there, causing you need to push it forward. So make sure it's tight. Definitely not going to lose it, but not overly tight that's going to lock up like right there when it tries to slide back. So again, make sure that this front screw is tight. Make sure that this is tight. And if your firing pin is clean and it's still doing light primer strikes, then I recommend that you go and buy a different one. Now, another question that I did get, and I'm going to address that right now, is how do you decock it? Because obviously it's not smart to dry fire it. How do you, see, like right now, if I pull the trigger, it's going to go off. How do you make it so that you don't need to worry about pulling the trigger? What I do is get a little, I'll use this piece, a little piece of cardboard, a little piece of paper, pull back on the slide. It's a little too big, sorry about that. Pull back on the slide, insert the cardboard. So now it's going to hit the cardboard and not the steel. Clearly it's still not the best idea because I'm sure it's going to go through some of that and hit the steel. But it is, it's better than nothing. And I see the cardboard that I have is too thick. But you get the point. Put in a little piece of paper, fire it. It'll hit the paper, soften it so it's not hitting the steel. Also, just put up the safety. You can leave it hot locked, ready to rock. And that's okay. So as long as your safety's on. So now that is how you clean the firing pin on a Browning Buckmark. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I will probably put a link in the bottom, I guess it'd be there, the bottom of the video, for how to, or where to purchase a new firing pin and a new spring. I'm sure there's other places, but I'll just put a link for those you guys who are lazy. So, not lazy, my viewers are not lazy. I'll put it down there for those of you who don't want to spend time looking for it. So, thank you very much, and I hope to do more videos with this to include how to do a detailed how to do a detailed cleaning on it, but we'll get to that later. So thanks a lot guys, bye.